Yeah, I need to like. Welcome back to What She Said Sports, everybody. All right, I know y'all can hear me. I moved my mic over here so I don't mute it. How's everybody doing? I hope y'all have a good weekend. Y'all know tonight I'm holding class. Professor What She Said is in. We're talking about the robbery as it pertains to the type of criminal that has allegedly committed the robbery. This is supposed to be, when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, home invasion, a robbery while he wasn't there, a break-in. It's supposed to be organized crime, right? It's supposed to be, we're led to believe, a group of individuals who traveled 700 miles from Georgia to Ohio to Sanders' residence and were provided his address, looks like a photo of the house, and someone to call right before they kicked the door in. So, and then they, came back the next day. So they went back to their hotel after the break in. And then the next day, seemingly, they returned back to Georgia. So we're going to talk about that. But I hear my TV. Hold on one second. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. It's just too loud. It's too loud. Okay. So I know if I hear myself, y'all can probably hear me too. Okay. So I put together a few clips to kind of share what these organized crime rings, how they operate, right? The MO, earlier I talked about motive yesterday. I shared about motive, that there's motive inside the Browns organization. People felt like it was an inside job with somebody Shedeur knew. Some people said Shedeur mentioned he thought it was maybe the people that came by and drywalled the house, right? So there's a couple of ways to look at this. And one of the things you think about is how far of a distance they came from. And when you learn and you study these groups, right? Not just any crime organization, but the particular four men that came from Atlanta. Now, first and foremost, we do not know if they are a crime ring or not. That's what we have possibly been told, that that's what they are. This could be four people that somebody hired to do a job, and this is their first job. Who knows, right? But when we're talking about crime ring and organized crime, they have patterns of behavior. They do things a certain way. And that's what we're talking about tonight, right? So we talked about motive yesterday. Now we're looking in more detail, taking a deeper dive into the type of crime ring that commits home invasions and robbery and the type of people that run in and fill up bags and kick doors in, that kind of thing, like a kick door crew. That's what we're getting ready to look at. As of today, we still haven't heard if they found the fourth person over here to your right. The getaway driver, DeAndres, the second guy, and the third guy, Xavier, were all arrested in DeKalb County in Decatur, similar area where the kick door gang we're getting ready to look into was indicted. There's a 94-page indictment out about the drug-rich gang from the Stone Mountain area, which is also in DeKalb County. So these gentlemen could have been a little younger than the guys in the drug-rich gang. Then again, they might be a little older, Apparently, it was 50 people in the drug-rich gang, 50, and half of them got indicted, and several, if not all of them, except for the two leaders, are serving life for the types of crimes you're getting ready to see, which is similar to what happened with Shedeur. I don't think it's coincidence that they're from that DeKalb area, because the drug-rich gang was infamous, right? And that went on for years, right? They don't catch these people right away. And that kind of points to what we're talking about with these four people that were hired. Now, it's true Myles Garrett was robbed. Again, I can't find anything on Myles Garrett robbery, but not by these four people. The police confirmed that. They didn't rob anybody else in Ohio. They didn't rob Pat Mahomes because the people that robbed them are already in jail. They did not rob, apparently, the guy in Tennessee that hit Shedeur in the head. They didn't rob him. So it might be, understand this, a copycat crime. What is a copycat crime? A copycat crime is somebody sees, let's say, a serial robber, and they know the city is on high alert, that there's a lot of robberies happening, and they talk about the same activity, right? They rob a certain way, they strike at a certain time, and they have this many people with them, and they do this when they're doing that, right? That's a serial robber, something that happens over and over and over in the same pattern, right? Now, I think this might possibly be a copycat robbery by people who might or might not actually be in organized crime. Why do I think that, right? Because these four didn't rob nobody else. They didn't rob nobody else in Ohio. They didn't rob Myles Garrett. They didn't take the time to hit up a few players while they were taking advantage of we drove here 700 miles, so we might as well rob them too. They didn't rob anybody else. They didn't wait till Shedeur was gone. It has a lot of consistencies with somebody who hired them, knew that there was a trend of athletes being robbed, and they copycat that crime. They copycat Pat Mahomes, knowing that if they get caught, people would think, oh, they targeted celebrities. Yes and no. Yes and no. So let's get into the first clip that I have on when these people are like planning and how they go about what they do. All right.
Follow through. I kid you not, I've never seen anything like this before. This is the biggest and most intricate robbery crew I've ever seen. Everything began in September of 2021 when the crew decided that their main goal was to stack hundreds of thousands of dollars. To do this, members would study the social media pages of local celebrities to find out where they live and when they're out of town. First, they would look through the Hawks, Braves, and Falcons roster to find out the perfect opportunity to strike.
Now, what did they say when they're out of town? And they took, since they're in Atlanta, they took all of the sports rosters and they hit up those teams. They didn't cross state lines. They didn't even leave the area. I think that is huge, right? I think it's huge because a lot of people listen to about the details of what happened with Shedeur, and it just does not make sense that a group of criminals, whether organized or unorganized, would randomly drive 700 miles and just kick Shedeur's door in without knowing if somebody's there or not. One of the details you're going to hear over and over and over is how they wait until people are gone. Who you see on your screen is a player that played for the Falcons. Now, I want you to listen to the details of what happened in his robbery, but I also want you to listen to how it negatively affected him in his job. Take a listen. I'm going to scroll back a little bit.
This is the biggest and most intricate robbery crew I've ever seen. Everything began in September of 2021 when the crew decided that their main goal was to stack hundreds of thousands of dollars. To do this, members would study the social media pages of local celebrities to find out where they live and when they're out of town. First, they would look through the Hawks, Braves, and Falcons roster to find out the perfect opportunity to strike. That's when they ran across a video online of Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley giving a tour of his Atlanta home. Somehow they were able to find his address, and that's when members decided to head over and wait. September 13th, 2021. It's a Monday after getting blown out by the Eagles, and Calvin Ridley is at home with his family. The members notice his car in the driveway, so they wait outside patiently until he leaves. At 3 p.m., the garage opens and Calvin and his family leave. As soon as they turn the corner, the members get out and run up to the house. They kick down the door, run inside with bags, and fill them up. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in jewelry, watches, and designer clothing. In just 5 minutes, the members run out with their bags full and hop in the car. They then speed back to Stone Mountain without being caught. At 5 p.m., Calvin Ridley returns home to caution tape around his block and police investigating. He then notices that his front door is kicked down and he begins to panic. The incident shook him up to the point where he decided to take time away from football.
The 26-year-old didn't play in Sunday's game against the Panthers because of a personal matter, and the same day tweeted out that the past few weeks had been challenging, adding, "As much as I'd like to be on the field competing with my teammates, I need to step away from football at this time and focus on my mental well-being."
It wasn't the material possessions, but rather the thought of his family being home when this could have happened. Unfortunately, because he didn't release any specifics, a lot of football fans criticized him for being soft. Little did they know the situation he went through would take a toll on any man. Not to mention that the guys who did it would not be caught for a long time.
All right. So the guys who did it would not be caught for a long time. So imagine that you're at your home, right? And you're at work and somebody kicks your door in and they rob you and they take, it's not about what they take. I think the most interesting part is they sat outside and waited until nobody was there. And again, you're not going to drive 700 miles on the off chance to rob Shedeur at a home game. You're going to wait and you're going to do it when he's gone. And you're going to hear that theme play out over and over and over. And this is why I say this was a copycat crime, possibly. And they didn't just wait until Shedeur had a game. Notice they said they waited until they had the right opportunity. Is the opportunity a home game? No, you have family in town. You have people around. And one thing about these guys, they don't like other people to be around. And things happen. And unfortunately, people get hurt when they're surprised that they kick the door in and somebody's there. It's almost like they panic and harm the other people. You'll see that, right? So Shedeur said it was good it happened the way it did. Now, understand this, the details of Shedeur's crime. You think that they would just hire somebody from Ohio, the whole state of Ohio, right? Shedeur didn't even live in Cleveland. So to get somebody from Atlanta, it seems you wanted to distract from the local area because you could have got some local criminals. But for whatever reason, you went by a couple states over 700 miles to Atlanta. And I think that's a very important point, right? For people who say, oh, they were just sitting around waiting for people to rob and they saw Shedeur. I'm like, how did they find his house? You're going to hear why they moved away from athletes and onto celebrities because it's harder to find athletes. Many of them, like Travis Hunter, his house is not in his name. Many of them, Shedeur's place that he was in wasn't in his name. Many of them rent because they might not be there long. It depends, right? I mean, if you Tom Brady, you might know that you're the guy, but Shedeur doesn't know he's the guy, so he rents it. So the house wasn't even in his name. And if you're like, well, maybe it was the drywall people that came to estimate. They would have got some robbers in Ohio or a neighboring state to the left. They would have not gone all the way to Atlanta to get an organized group of criminals. Again, this is giving copycat. and Atlanta was chosen, just like the prank in the draft. Atlanta, they lied on Atlanta. Atlanta did not give out Shedeur's number. It was exposed in the media by national media. The NFL gave out Shedeur's phone number and lied and said it was the Falcons to cover for the New York Giants, who the prank caller was associated with the Giants. It's alleged that that was the boyfriend of the daughter of the GM of the Giants, Joe Sean, who was allowed to keep his job and extend him recently, right? So a lot happened with the prank to make you think it was Atlanta. Why? Personal. You would think it's personal because Coach Prime played there. Maybe they thought the same thing with the robbery. Well, his dad played in Atlanta. Maybe people will think that they don't like his dad. Okay, I know who didn't do this, if that's what they thought. Because no, they love Coach Prime in Atlanta. They will probably never. And they love Shedeur. They would love for Shedeur to come to Atlanta. So whoever thought it made sense to get somebody from Atlanta, or if that's the only place you can get an organized crime ring, I doubt it. They messed up right there. It's too similar to the draft. And in the draft, they thought it would be personal because Coach Prime played there. And it shows you they were covering up. It shows you they were covering up. And the NFL is not any stranger to scandals where we have the bounty gate where you pay to hurt players. And we saw Shedeur get hurt, right? We saw people try to hurt him on his own team. Blake Whiteheart crushing his fingernail off. Look at how the Baltimore Ravens were gentle with Dylan, who somehow sustained a concussion when they barely touched him. But then they came in prepared to harm Shedeur, which meant they knew he was gonna play. Now, people say Shedeur knew he was gonna play. Some people say he didn't. He said he didn't. Coach Prime said he thought that might be the game. I said I thought that might be the game. But we don't know who knew for sure that he was going to get in. And a lot of people do not believe that Dylan actually had a concussion. So if the concussion was fake and Dylan went over to the phone, so somebody told him he needed to come out, all of that was staged. All of that was staged for optics to make you think Dylan is hurt so Shedeur can get in. And when Shedeur played in the preseason, Dylan had to be hurt. And when Shedeur played on the Ravens, Dylan had to be hurt. And then an hour and a half after Shedeur plays a game unexpectedly, he makes his debut sooner than expected because he was only supposed to play the last 4 games. He gets robbed an hour and 20 minutes into it. And then the guys walk up to the home and call and look at a photo to confirm where they are because they don't live there. If I don't live there, I need to know if I'm at the right place. So we're over here looking at photos. This is who took the photo of the outside of the house to send them on this particular side of the house. Somebody local. Somebody local. If you want to say the drywall people, okay, go down that path. I would have gave this to somebody in the state of Ohio, not Atlanta, where Coach Prime played, to make you think it's personal. And why they have to be black? To make you think it's personal. To make you think it's personal. And then they called somebody before they kicked the door in. Why? Because you'll hear on the rest of these clips, these guys don't like when people in the house. And look, think about it. I'm going on a job. I know they commit crimes in Atlanta. That's what they're thinking, right? Suddenly somebody wants me to be hired on a job in Ohio. They're going to pay for the car. They're going to pay for the hotel. They're going to pay for the gas. They're going to pay for our food. And all I have to do is go up here and run in this house, ransack the bedroom, get the contents of the nightstand, and get some stuff for myself and get the hell out in 12 minutes. So when the driver was caught, the guy to the left, the getaway driver, he was caught with thousands in cash. He was caught with thousands in cash in 10 days. It took 2 years to catch the drug rich gang. And they were right there in Atlanta. Atlanta's this big. You can get anywhere in 15 minutes, barring traffic. Anywhere in 15 minutes. It took them 10 days to get people who didn't have a car in their name. The car wasn't rented in their name. The hotel probably was not maybe in their name. Somebody had to put the hotel, I would think, in their name. And because normally they want some kind of ID or credit card for incidentals. Who did all of that? Right? And then who took the photo to let them know that they were in the right place. Somebody local had to do that. These guys don't drive from Atlanta for a couple of days to look on and case Shedeur's house on the outside. No. If they did, they wouldn't have need the photo to look and go, okay, this is the place. And who did they call before they kicked the door in? Somebody that confirmed to them that Shedeur was not there. Now you'll hear in the rest of the clips how these guys made mistakes when they tried to judge who's at home. To avoid a mistake with these guys getting caught or set up. Because if somebody hired me, if I generally rob in the Atlanta area and then I get a one-off job in Ohio and I go all the way up there because they promised me cash and they want me to go in a house in an area I've never been, how do I know they're not trying to set me up? I'm a whole goddamn criminal. That's why the two guys in the back were so jumpy when they were looking around. That's why, see, most of these guys, they run in the house. They were tiptoeing because then we been set up. When you're a criminal, you're thinking, okay, maybe somebody finna lure me somewhere because that's what they do. So it's giving copycat, and they targeted Atlanta just like they did in the prank, but it was an inside job. So let's keep going. So take a look at another one of the clips. So again, you can see how these so-called robbery rings work. Okay.
After ransacking their home, the members drive away in their cars as well. The whole thing took 50. Earlier, he noticed expensive cars in the driveway. Well, at 2 p.m., the members hop the gate and sprint up to the house. They then kick the door down and rush inside. And
now, what did you hear? They was driving past the house in the local area. Okay, areas they're familiar with, right? They know the lay of the land, right? If I got to hop out my car and run, I know where to go, right? What did they do? They hopped the fence. They hopped the fence and they kicked the door in. No signal jammers or nothing. I'm just out here kicking the door in or whatever, right? So these are kick door guys. Listen to what happens.
That's when they realize that the home is occupied.
So these are expensive houses. And it tells me that these criminals did not understand the lay of the land when it comes to custom expensive houses. See, they used to smaller houses where the driveway is in the front. That's why when they don't see a car on the driveway, they wait. Or they just go kick it in. They didn't see any cars at this expensive house because they didn't realize expensive houses have motor courts and you drive around the back. So that's why this robbery went the way that it did. Take a listen. And it just kind of lets you peek into their minds so you can kind of see what they're accustomed to, what they're not, how they make their decisions, and how some of them are just random.
Here, he noticed expensive cars in the driveway. Well, at 2 p.m., the members hop the gate and sprint up to the house. They then kick the door down and rush inside, and that's when they realize that the home is occupied. The members panic and direct everyone in the house to not dial 911. They continue to fill up bags, and that's when a member notices a Mercedes S-Class and an Audi RQ8 in the backyard. So that's when two members demand the keys to the cars. After ransacking their home, the members drive away in their cars as well. The whole thing took 15 minutes in and out, and police were not able to catch them. This was one of the largest scores in Georgia history, and Atlanta police knew that something was up. Coincidentally, the crew would chill out for the next few months while they tried to sell off the items. Well, at 2 p.m., the members...
All right, did you hear what he said?
15 minutes in and out, and police were not able to catch them. This was one of the largest scores in Georgia history, and Atlanta police knew that something was up. Coincidentally, the crew would chill out for the next few months while they tried to sell off the items. The process took a few months until the crew was ready to show off their newfound wealth.
All right, so understand this, right? So essentially, it took they just saw a house, right? I think a guy with them, I don't know if he's a delivery driver, I don't know why he was over there, but he was over there and he saw that house and he was like, hey, this is a big house, blah, 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 blah. There's no cars in front of the house. So they go over there. So somebody found the house, they go over there. They go to the house, they like, oh, it's no cars out front, nobody's home. Again, you're not accustomed to custom houses because the car's in the back, right? So they kick the door in and surprise, the homeowners are there. Then they panic, but they get greedy. Instead of just filling up the bags and holding the people at gunpoint and getting the hell on, they take their damn cars. All of those cars have modern technology, but they didn't catch them for a long time. Not 10 days afterwards, a long time. And this is the city that they live in for the most part. This is Atlanta, Buckhead. They're from Stone Mountain. 30 minutes, right? Like a suburb. Didn't cross state lines, hit up. All they did was seem to just rob people in the local area because they know what a nice houses are. They know what kind of people live there. They know what kind of stuff they could get. And what did you not hear? You didn't hear anything about signal jammers. You didn't hear anything about masks and gloves. And you didn't hear anything that would lead you to believe that they looked at social media first. See, maybe when these things started to happen, maybe about 2010, I think Twitter came out in 2009. So maybe about 2019, 2016, maybe when you posted on Instagram in 2013, they was like, ooh, so-and-so. I mean, understand this. If you live in a wealthy area, they know you got stuff, right? If you live in like a gated neighborhood, it's gated for a reason. You got stuff. If you're a famous person and they know you make like $40 million, they know you got stuff. So you don't need social media. And I understand why Bucky is covering it up, but that is irrelevant. And Shedeur didn't even live in an area where everybody else did. He went to a totally separate area. So if you want to say somebody over there was like, oh, Shedeur Sanders live over here. They was like, really? We could hit him up when they playing. And they could, but I bet $10 they would wait until an away game. So when the video came out, it was the Miami Dolphins home game. Bucky filmed for the first time. There were 2 away games. That's when they were supposed to strike. So you're going to hear exactly how they plan this and how long they wait to strike. So this is organized crime, right? So just take a listen. Again, it makes you believe that it's not that Shedeur was just targeted, right? He was targeted at a time when he was doing something that was special, something they didn't want him to do within the Browns organization, make his NFL debut. But it was in the second half of the game. Now, mind you, these guys were already in town. They had checked into their hotel. They looked like they had changed clothes, put on their bonnet and everything. You could have robbed him as soon as you got to town and hightailed it back. But no, you stayed because you had to get paid. And you likely had to deliver proof that you robbed his house, which meant you had to either share or show or provide the goods that you stole. And then you went back the next day because it's an 11-hour drive. Or did they spent a lot of time in Ohio for people who were supposed to do like a smash and grab, a kick door. Again, it's giving copycat. And Shedeur wasn't just targeted his house. He was targeted for when he made his debut because there are people that knew he would make his debut, including apparently the Baltimore Ravens. So that says if the Ravens knew, then guess what? The people inside the Browns organization knew. So there's more than ample sufficient evidence to investigate the Cleveland Browns because they had motive. They wanted Shedeur gone. They never wanted him there. Andrew Berry tried to use his connections. Philadelphia, where his twin brother works. Baltimore, where his former boss works, to get Shedeur to go to those 2 teams that you heard people say wanted to get Shedeur. You think it's a coincidence that the GM of the Browns, his former boss works for Baltimore, and his brother is the twin in Philly? No, they didn't want Shedeur in Cleveland, and they treated him like it. And they did everything to try to run him off. What did Calvin Ridley say after he got robbed? He had to take time away. And fans teased him because they didn't know what was going on. But he was shook. Why? Because they didn't know what the guys were. So you get robbed. I don't catch the guys. They could come back tomorrow. Mariah Carey is a part of this documentary. She got hit twice in 2 different cities. She moved the hell out of LA and the hell out of Atlanta. because they were targeting her. And it makes you uneasy when you get robbed, especially when they don't catch the guys, because they could come back, and they very well could. So to me, it's giving copycat. Shedeur was targeted. They came 700 miles. They could have robbed the whole damn team. While the team was playing for a couple of hours, they could have split up and hit this house, this house, this house, this house. They didn't do that. They're not the guys that robbed Myles Garrett. This seems to be a copycat that somebody who knew athletes get robbed set up, and they're in Ohio. Okay, so that's how that one ended. You saw where they just, to me, they just went off their script and took these people's cars. And again, Atlanta was not happy about this. Buckhead is cherished. And in the documentary, it tells you that cities spend a lot of money to protect rich areas, because when people move, like Mariah Carey, it costs the city tax dollars. And yeah, because these houses, tax bills are like $50,000. Understand, if your house is $4 to $5 to $6 million, your tax bill is easily $50,000 a year. Easy. And you're going to run those people off if the area is ridden with crime. That's why people get stopped in rich areas all the time. What are you doing here? Right? Not that they should be racist, but that's what happens. So, so that's that on that one. So understand, we're still talking about what appears to be a group of people
September
hired
18th,
from
2021.
Atlanta.
Daryl and Anthony drive from Stone Mountain to Buckhead at 1 p.m. They arrive on Bismarck Road at 2:15 and they discover a house with no car in the driveway. So the two members hop out, kick the door down, and run inside. But right there is the owner of the house, and that's when things go left. Bam! The members sprint to the car after realizing the decision they made, and they drive back to Stone Mountain. Thankfully, the homeowner was okay, but the incident definitely shook him up. For Daryl and Anthony, you would expect them to lay low after this close call. But nope, instead they would start rolling with the deeper squad. This time, Daryl Johnson would call up 4 fellow RX members to tag along. Together, the members would plan, and a week later, they would go on their mission. September 26, 2021. It's a Sunday evening in North Atlanta, one of the city's wealthiest neighborhoods. And here comes the squad of 5 RX members looking for the perfect house. And after driving around for an hour, they spot a great opportunity. A big old house with no car in the driveway. So that's when Daryl reverses in and the 5 men hop out. This time no one is home and the members are able to fill up their bags and get away safely. Apparently this was the major score, even bigger than the Calvin Ridley one. So as a result, quite a few RX members wanted to tag along on the next mission. So
here's what happens, right? So they hit a score and it's lucrative, right? So everybody else want to go. Then it ends up being 11 people on the next job, right? So it went from 2 people, then they had 4 the next time, then it's 5, then it becomes 11. So listen to this. They're making a master plan, okay? So just listen. Again, they plan. They don't always randomly just go. And even when they plan, the houses are still in the area. So take a listen.
Daryl Johnson would make his master plan over the next 5 days, and that takes us to October 1st, 2021.
It took them 5 days to make the plan. So they picked the target, and they planned for 5 days, then they hit it. So let's say the video came out, the Miami Dolphins home game. 5 days, 7 days later is an away game. They didn't strike then. Then there was another away game. They didn't strike then. They struck when Shedeur was making his NFL debut, as if somebody wanted to spoil it. And they hired people from Atlanta who were Black to make you think it's personal. This is no different than the copycat prank call. Because what is the first thing that they said after the prank? Oh, so-and-so got it. It's just them kids. False. And I said it then. Myles Garrett didn't get robbed by these people. Pat Mahomes didn't get robbed by these 4. Joe Burrow didn't get robbed by these 4. What did these 4 do, supposedly, according to law enforcement, after they left Ohio? They let in the same clothes, and the next day they wore the same clothes they used to rob Shedeur. That's what they said. They went and robbed somebody in their area. So they went right back to what they've been doing. So they've been robbing the local area, apparently. And then they come to Ohio because somebody makes it worth their while. Somebody pays them cash because the driver 10 days later got caught with thousands in cash. And if he had thousands, and you know they split that money 4 ways, that's why everybody want to go on the next lick. The other ones had thousands. So who in Ohio has access to thousands of cash or took it out of their bank account or 4 people put it together to pay them? And when did they get paid? And who paid them? Was it a meetup? They were still hanging around after the robbery. There was a reason why they came into town early before the robbery. They never had to stay. It's 4 of them. 2 could have drove and 2 could have drove back. Understand that. This is a copycat targeting Shedeur at a time where he's doing something special that nobody in the Browns organization wanted him to do. And let me say this. Let's just say it's a UPS driver or a FedEx driver who was delivering something and saw Shedeur outside. And they're like, oh shit, that's Shedeur Sanders' house. And they're like, man, I saw a Maybach over there and he got all these kind of cars. Let's just say that's what it was, right? Why the hell would I hire some people from Atlanta? It obviously, if I hire you, I'm gonna want what it is I sent you to get, right? I don't want to split it with the 4 of y'all plus the UPS driver. I'm not hiring 4 people to rob Shedeur from Atlanta because I got to pay for a hotel. I got to pay for them the gas. And the more people you involve in a crime, the more people are going to tell. This is a copycat to strike at the time when Shedeur is doing something special that nobody, apparently, if you ask Dylan's girlfriend, wanted Shedeur to do, which is play football. Remember what she said. Everybody in the building wants Dylan to play. Well, if everybody in the building wants Dylan to play, well, that's motive because they don't want Shedeur to play. And what did Shedeur do on the day he got robbed? He played. So understand that there were some people that were upset. And we don't know how long they knew within the Browns organization Shedeur was going to play. But here's what I'm going to say. If there's nobody in the Browns that did this, you know why people are looking their way? Because of the abhorrent, disgusting way they abused Shedeur Sanders. Because they, 1, didn't want him there. 2, thought he was a threat to take somebody's job. Dylan is one of them. The other person is probably Arch Manning because that's who the owner wants. You saw how careless the owner was with his words when it came to Shedeur. Well, he wasn't my pick. What did the owner say after Stefanski got fired? I am optimistic Stefanski will get another head coach job. Why? Didn't you fire him because he horrible? Didn't you fire him because he only won like 6 games in 2 years? Didn't you say they could win more than 5 games? So why would he be deserving and you be optimistic of Stefanski getting another coaching job? And understand this, the owner is on the record saying, when people started saying it's time to fire Stefanski, no, Stefanski has done good work for us. Where? Because off the clock, we saw several meetups with Dylan and his girlfriend and Stefanski. We saw a golf tournament with Stefanski and I think Botonia. I didn't see Stefanski building chemistry with Shedeur. In fact, Stefanski failed to build chemistry with Shedeur and Deshaun. And from what I hear, Jameis Winston too. So the pattern is Stefanski has failed to build chemistry with the black quarterbacks, which again, if this connects back to the Browns, and it's because Shedeur is a black first-round quarterback that they were going to draft, but the type of quarterback they have never drafted in the first round. and he landed on their doorstep and they wanted him gone and tried to get him to Baltimore, tried to get him to Philly. But he said, no, I made a decision for myself. I want to stay in Cleveland. And we watched Stefanski abuse him, exclude him, sabotage him. Wristband gate, manipulate the roster, manipulate the depth chart. We saw the dirt divers. Did we not see the dirt divers setting him up so he could not be impactful? Blake Whiteheart crushing his finger, peeling off his nail so he wouldn't be able to throw because that's his throwing hand. They tried everything. Remember the Raggedy Wildcats? Remember the holder taking the ball when they could have tied it up with a field goal against the Bills and throwing it to the cameraman. They tried everything to suppress Shedeur. They tried to get rid of him. They didn't want him. We don't want you. We don't value you. So they all had motive. Like Dylan's girlfriend said, everybody in the building wants Dylan to play. So you can't just ignore Berea. You have to investigate everyone who was untoward for Shedeur, including Jerry Judy, including Dylan, including Dylan's girlfriend, including Stefanski, including Batonio, including Conklin, including 68, including 72, including 13, including 86, including 82. If there are 20 people on the offense, there's only 5 of them that did not try to run Shedeur off or lessen his impact or prove that we don't want to block for you. We don't want to catch from you. Only 5 people. So the police cannot ignore Berea. And the fact that they revealed part of the information when everybody had left Berea, so now everybody's scattered and getting away. But you had the first person in custody since November 26th, the driver, who has data points pointing to Oregon football. Where did Dylan play school? Where did he go play football? Oregon. What did his girlfriend say? Everybody in the building wants Dylan to play. Who do we see that works for the Browns trailing Shedeur while he's in street clothes? An employee of the Browns that ran right up to him on camera and said what? Oh, there you go. You know, I have to keep tabs on you so you don't get in trouble. So somebody was paid to follow this man while he in street clothes. Street clothes. And you wonder who went to the side of the house and took the photo. Somebody local. Not a UPS driver. Not the drywallers. And anybody that knew Shedeur would have waited till he was out of town. And they would have been out of town with him. But they called somebody. And whoever they called could tell them nobody's inside. Because they knew exactly where Shedeur, his mom, his brother Bucky, who wasn't even there, where they were. Shedeur has to pay for those tickets. So they know who's sitting in them seats. It's giving copycat targeted to ruin what was supposed to be a special moment for Shedeur by somebody on the inside that knew that Bucky would not be there, that could send somebody local over to the side to take a photo, who was pissed that Shedeur was either taking somebody else's job or was a threat to still be in Cleveland because they already tried to get rid of him. But he chose to come there anyway. So they decided to hire people from Atlanta. So you could think it's personal, and Black people. They have robbery rings of other races. So you would also think it'd be your own people. It's just a bunch of YNs who need to get a job. When they actually hired an organized crime ring. Now, how you find an organized crime ring? That ain't easy to find. somebody that can access whatever they want can get a crime rate. All right, so let's look at the next one.
Members hop the gate and sprint up to the house. They then kick the door down and rush inside, and that's when they realize that the home is occupied. The members panic and direct everyone in the house to not dial 911. They continue to fill up bags, and that's when a member notices a Mercedes S-Class and an Audi RQ8 in the backyard. So that's when two members demand the keys to the car.
Okay, I think we saw this one, but it was an Audi. It was a Mercedes S-Class and a specialty Audi, and neither one of those cars had locators on them, or they had already ditched the cars. But it took them time to find these guys. It was not 10 days. It took them 2 years to get 20 people from the drug rich gang, and it's still apparently 25 people out there because it was 50 people involved with the gang itself. Let's see. I have one with some celebrities, and it talks about, I think I have one where they talk about they were trying to hit up another celebrity, but they couldn't find nobody because his house is not in their name. These guys know how generally to protect themselves.
February 21st, 2022.
Okay, so what they did was they went, now this is a very interesting, this talks about how they got caught. So they talking about how they got caught. They went on a popular vlog with this guy named Miko Worldwide. He goes to different cities and meet with people from the hood. I don't know if he invited them or they invited him, but they laid low for a while after hitting up a bunch of robberies. And they cashed all their stuff in because it take a couple of months. You can't fix that stuff like that. So understand, when you when you go take a job in Ohio and you're strictly doing it for the things that you're going to steal, you have to wait to get paid because you have to fix that stuff. So the driver having thousands in cash after 10 days points to a big payday for all four. And since the fourth one is still on the run, he's likely spending his windfall to hide out. Because they said, they know where he would be, but they can't find him. So, these guys have specific ways. They plan, they pick a target, they plan it for 5 days, and then they strike. They don't see the house and just go back all the time. They wait, right? But where they make their mistakes is because they're not tech savvy. They don't understand that Mercedes-Benz have cars with technology and GPS systems other than the basics, right? They don't understand that, custom homes in Buckhead have motor courts in the back. They're just going based off of what they know. If I don't see a car outside my house, or, because nobody's home, it's not like that. And that clues you in to who you're dealing with. That clues you in to who you're dealing with, because like the Chilean gang, they robbed Pat Mahomes when he was in that away game. Why? I didn't come all of this way to rob him for 2 minutes. And then some other people got robbed. I think Travis Kelce got robbed. Those people are in jail. And you don't go all the way to Ohio just to rob Shedeur. You're going to rob up his other teammates too if y'all are truly in the business of robbing people. But they were sent to do a job. And I don't think it's a coincidence the getaway drivers' social media points to Oregon football. I don't think it's a coincidence that Dylan went to Oregon, that his girlfriend said everybody in the building wants Dylan to play, which means everybody in the building was against Shedeur, and they treated him like it. So you cannot ignore Berea. Everybody should be investigated, including the girl that was trailing Shedeur around in street clothes, and she was on the clock. So let me see if this is the one about Future and Gunna. Let me see if this is it.
September 18th, 2021. Daryl and Anthony drive from Stone Mountain to Buckhead at 1 p.m. They arrive on Bismarck Road at 2:15 and they discover a house with no car in the driveway. So the two members hop out, kick the door down, and run inside. But right there is the owner of the house, and that's when things go left. Bam! The members sprint to the car after realizing the decision they made, and they drive back to Stone Mountain. Thankfully, the homeowner was okay, but the incident definitely shook him up. For Daryl and Anthony, you would expect them to lay low after this close call. But nope, instead they would start rolling with the deeper squad.
Yeah, I think we saw
this time, Daryl Johnson would call up 4 fellow RX members.
Yeah, I think we saw that one. So there's one where they wanted to rob Future, okay? They wanted to rob Future, but they couldn't find his house. So here's what they did. They waited and they found his baby mama's house, and she lived across the way from one of the housewives of Atlanta, and they end up robbing her. And unfortunately, somebody ended up in the hospital with that one. Now, when Gunna, they had one where they robbed Gunna. So Gunna was accused of a RICO in, I guess, 2022, the rapper, and got arrested, right? Again, no social media needed. It's just Gunna. Gunna makes a lot of money. Gunna is arrested in jail for a RICO. So they robbed his house, right? And somebody, I think somebody was there and something happened, right? So, you know, just so you could kind of see how they plan. They obviously have to communicate because they plan. They use social media. But they don't need social media to rob you, right? They could just drive past your house and say, oh, they got nice stuff. Let's come back and we'll hit them up. And that's what they do sometimes, right? If you notice, everybody they robbed was no further than 30 minutes away as far as Duluth or as far as Buckhead, because they came from Stone Mountain. They never crossed state lines. They never even went to like South Georgia. They never even went to Augusta, Georgia. They kept it local. So when they said that the guys came back from Ohio and they robbed somebody in Buckhead, I haven't seen any evidence of it, but I can believe it. They robbed somebody in Brookhaven. That's Buckhead. Like, why would I believe it? Because this is the area that they robbed in. And then they only caught the first guy in 10 days. It took them years to catch these people. Years. And it takes months to fence it, so they don't have thousands in cash. And the other guy was not an athlete. And I don't know if that happened, but that's what they said. I looked for it. I didn't see it, but I'm sure it's out there. They said they were indicted by a grand jury. They want to say they robbed some other professional athletes, but not these guys. These guys stick close to home, and somebody made it worth their while. And one of the reasons I believe we are seeing breadcrumbs to Oregon, it could have been taken down, is because somebody wants people to know, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to them. If they got lured into this, to the money, come up to get all this money, and you think you're good, you get caught in 10 days. You think these guys don't know how long it takes to get caught? And then they got another robbery they say they did, but ain't showed no evidence of. They going to get pinned with all of these robberies out here. Because they already saying, yeah, we think they did some others. They going to bury them. They going to bury them. And I'm not saying they don't deserve to be buried, but I'm telling you that's what's going to happen. Pay attention what transpires with these guys, including the one that you cannot find. The one that they can't find. So what that means is the people that hired them likely knew that they was going to get roped up and they was going to get buried with other cases. So the getaway driver, like Dylan's girlfriend, like the cryptic message from Jerry Judy is telling. Dylan's girlfriend was trying to tell us. And she was right about what she said. Jerry Judy's trying to tell us, if y'all only knew. The getaway driver is trying to tell us. See, people are trying to tell. People are trying to tell. That doesn't happen with the rest of these cases. You know why? Because with the rest of these cases, they just targeted people's houses. They don't know them personally, or they weren't hired by anybody who knew them personally. Why is it Myles Garrett robbery is nowhere to be looked up, discussed? Don't even know when it happened. Don't even know where he lived. Shedeur's is everywhere. I didn't even know about the guy in Tennessee until people start asking, did they rob him, Simmons? They're like, no. You didn't know about anybody else's robbery. I only knew about Pat Mahomes when I started researching this one. I only knew about Joe Burrow when I started searching this one. And the MO is the same. Oh, yeah, Shedeur's a celebrity. See, that's what they thought. That's exactly what they said when they decided to commit this robbery for hire. Oh, people just gonna think it's nothing. What were Dylan and Stefanski meeting about all the time? You can't ignore them. It's not a coincidence that the driver has Oregon football on his page. It's not. The rest of these guys that went down with Drug Rich, they didn't even get bail. He not gonna get bail. They get ready to extradite them back to Ohio. So he telling. And the case is closed, so nobody's listening to what he's saying. And they probably gonna get away with it. Not the guys that did it, so because they already roped up. Funny how they can't find a fourth one. But the people that hired them, the people that brought them to Ohio, the people that took the photo of Shedeur's house on the side and gave it to him, and the people they called to say, is he in the game? Yeah. They gonna get away with it. And they're gonna bury these guys to make sure that they can't talk about it, or there's nobody to listen, or nobody would believe them. And that's exactly what's happening. So they tried Future, but they couldn't get him. They tried Gunna and they got it. So these are the guys, and I'm getting ready to go over to the comments because I asked people to look at this documentary before. I want to see what they had to say. Right here, they're verifying their location, making sure they're in the right place. So either somebody gave them some coordinates or something, but I'm sure they told them to kick this particular door in. And you had to be local to get that information. So again, it's an inside job. It's a shame that the case is closed by Ohio, but it might get reopened. Don't be surprised if you hear this case gets reopened as people discuss what took place in the Browns organization. I think Tony Grossi is now admitting that, Stefanski sabotaged Shedeur, something we've been saying since Shedeur got to Cleveland, but now he wants to talk about it, that Stefanski has been fired. And when Stefanski got fired, I thought it was very interesting that somebody was waiting in the bushes to get the photo. Who does that? People that expect Stefanski to walk out to his car for the last time. So there were people that knew that Stefanski was getting fired. It wasn't paparazzi just waiting in the bushes to see somebody play for the Browns, because they don't get that kind of love, and they weren't tracking Shedeur. I've never seen anybody in the bushes showing Shedeur coming out of the building, and he's probably the most famous person in the damn building. But there were people in the bushes waiting for Stefanski to come out to his car for the last time because they knew he was getting fired. So let's see how long until they fired Dylan. So let me see what y'all are saying. Also, if you listen to this, just let me know what you thought of it. Thank you so much. All right, so the gang's out here. We made it to 205 people. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hey, Nice Phil, how you doing? How you doing? Another hot topic. How you doing? Hey, Miss Pamela. Hey, Tina. Hey, that Sage. Welcome back, Sage. Thank you so much. Good evening. What she said, chat family. Very interesting video. Thank you for sharing. You're welcome. You're welcome, Crowley. It said 2021 post-COVID time. They moved quick. Took less than 10 minutes. Right, and that was very true. It was COVID. That was in Atlanta, was the only city that didn't even close for COVID. So I guess people were still out and about, right? Because one of the things about COVID in another city, you knew people were at home. So they made some mistakes, right? In judgment because of the environments that they're used to, which is nothing like the environments that they robbed. But they all had the same MO. They run in with bags. They take everything that they could get. Multiple people run around. They not walking together. They not looking and peeking. They just grab it. And they know. They talked about it on the documentary, how they know to go to the bedroom, right? And these guys looked in one of Shedeur's rooms and they was like, we weren't interested in that. They wanted to go to his bedroom. But there were things that were in his bedroom that they didn't take. They threw a lot of his clothes on the floor. right? A firearm was there. They take that, and these guys are all supposed to be strapped. The one that's MIA is supposed to be armed and dangerous. He had camera equipment. He had all sorts of kind of things, and they weren't interested in none of that, right? They just wasn't interested in any of that. So sometimes it makes me feel like somebody watched the documentary that I asked y'all to watch. It kind of gives that, and these guys are from the same DeKalb area, so it's kind of like somebody knew, right? Either somebody knew them or somebody knew what had already transpired, and they decided to piggyback on it. This is a copycat. Get somebody from that area. Remember where that happened? Because athletes were hit up, but not by these 4 guys. And that's what people have to remember. All right. So it could easily be a copycat. Hey, Jenkins, how you doing? It's that Giants GM on some slick stuff. Absolutely. And look at how it's crazy how they scapegoat the Falcons to save the Giants, to not expose the Giants. That's the craziest thing. But and they had to have a conversation about it, right? I mean, they just instantly lied. And they lied on that family. So let's see if that family gets rewarded. The defensive coordinator, let's see if his job, if he elevates. Let's see what happens to Dylan. Because we know Stefanski was fired. And here's the key thing about Stefanski being fired, other than somebody was waiting in the bushes to catch it on camera. The third person they arrested, the final arrest they made was number 3. That was December 29th. Stefanski was fired exactly 7 days afterwards. And now Tony Grossi wants to say, yeah, Stefanski sabotaged Shedeur. What else they know about what Stefanski did? Think about the 29th. I looked at the calendar because it's a holiday in there, right? The 29th. They had picked him up on the 29th in Decatur. They probably talked to him. That was a Thursday. They probably talked to him. Hold on one second. December 29th was Monday. Okay, so they picked him up on a Monday, which meant they knew on Sunday where he would be. They picked him up on a random traffic stop. Sounds like a stakeout. That's just what it's giving. Because I don't know how you catch all 3 with 3 individual traffic stops, but that's what happened. And they got him on the 29th. They probably on the 30th started talking to him. They let him sit, let him be scared. He already knew the other 2 were in custody. So this is number 3. That's the 30th. That's Tuesday. You know, Wednesday was a holiday. Ain't no judge around. You ain't gonna go home. We'll see you later. All right. Then there's the 1st. That is a holiday. Then on the 2nd, that's the Friday. I don't know if a judge came back on a Friday. They always say never get arrested on a weekend or holiday because they ain't no judge, right? And no judge is making no special trip to hear what none of them got to say, okay? And mind you, they have to have evidence to keep them, okay? So then we go to the 3rd. On the 3rd, a Saturday, the Athletic reports. Now, mind you, they've had this guy and all 3 in custody since Monday. But on the Saturday following that Monday that all 3 are in custody at this time, the Athletic reports the Browns are inclined to part ways with Stefanski. They ain't even played the last game yet. Earlier this season, Mary Cabot said it. Oh, Stefanski's job is safe. Remember, they thought everybody was going to fire Andrew Berry. And what did Haslam say? Oh, no, Stefanski did good work for us. Right? But now, suddenly, after they have these guys in custody since the 29th, which is Monday, on a Saturday, this is what the Athletic reports. These people don't know no stuff on Saturday. It's a holiday. Most people just go. But they put this out here on a Saturday, and sometimes they put things out here on purpose. Then understand this. Sunday is the game, okay? They play the game. They win the game. Shedeur does well. He leaves the field jubilant, and then when he gets to the podium, he looks shook. Jerry Jeudy puts out his cryptic message that has 1 million views now on X that says something like, if y'all only knew, or something, I don't know. He's trying to tell you something. So you got the getaway driver trying to tell, you got Dylan's girlfriend trying to tell, you got Jerry Jeudy trying to tell, right? And then on the 5th, Stefanski gets fired. The first Monday after the holiday. Let's see what happened to Dylan. Let's see what happened to Dylan's girlfriend. Not that she had nothing to do with it, but she did provide motive. She told us, and people said, girl, that's what they're telling you. But what did we see after she said that? Look at how horrible the majority of the offense treated Shedeur. The head coach, think about what Tommy Reese said after Jerry Jeudy underperformed. I love Jerry Jeudy. We're going to feature him more. He's a suspect because he clearly didn't want Shedeur around either. Everybody in the building. So she was trying to tell us. And when she said you wouldn't know because you've never been a coach, Stefanski. Remember, they kept being cited out in public, Dylan and his girlfriend with Stefanski. At one time, wasn't it Dylan's father and Stefanski? I never saw him do that with Coach Prime and Shedeur. A lot of meetups was happening. So we'll see now what happens next with Dylan. And it's not a coincidence that now that Stefanski's gone, after he failed and was fired, apparently that's supposedly because he failed. He got fired supposedly because he failed, right? So why would the owner come out and say, I'm optimistic Kevin Stefanski will have another head coaching job in the NFL? Hello? No. After the horrible way he treated Shedeur, the fact that he even drafted Dylan at all, but the owner allowed Shedeur to be treated that way. He was careless with his own words. It seemingly doesn't want Shedeur to even be the quarterback next year. He was asked about Shedeur in the quarterback position. Oh, yeah, we're going to make a lot of changes on the offense. Even with Stefanski gone, now we can see a little bit more clearer who's behind wanting Shedeur gone. The one at the Miami Dolphins game that came posturing with them kids with that 12 jersey on. That's the one. The first time Bucky was allowed to film was that game where he presented that photo op. It's given a copycat, targeted Shedeur, inside job. Berea knew Shedeur was going to play, but wanted to spoil his special moment, just like them raggedy Wildcats. We didn't even know Myles Garrett got robbed, but everybody knows about Shedeur. It says scandal, right? And the NFL is not free of scandals. Besides the whole prank from the draft, Bounty Gate, paying to hurt players. Y'all heard Shedeur if you watched the mic'd up series from the most recent game, the last game, where he was telling the ref they were hitting him in the neck. I said that they are hitting Shedeur in the head. They gonna hurt him. He told the ref. And the ref was like, well, let me know. He said, I'm telling you now. Because he knew to expect to get hit. He knew they wouldn't protect for him. And look at how Jerry Jeudy kept sitting all up under him and failing him and betraying him at the same time. What did I say Shedeur got from Cleveland? Betrayal. So when something happens and you call the police and somebody break in your car or rob something or your house or whatever, you know what they ask you? Do you know anybody who would want to do this? Everybody in the building is a suspect. All he got was betrayal. That's why so many players on the opposing teams were nice to him. And everybody that cared about him, that had compassion for him, or that supported him, got retaliated against. Myles Garrett, Wyatt Teller. When Stefanski got fired, Wyatt Teller's wife posted, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. The guys got caught because the guys in the drug rich game, they got caught because they went on a vlog with the new stuff that they bought. And they had all this cash. And they were already being heavily monitored by, was it Fulton County, DeKalb County, and Cobb County? I think that's 3 different counties. They were already being heavily monitored, and they still decided to go on this guy's show. And that's how they got busted. And they said the guy is a snitch because he got his own set of charges out there, and he invited them to come on the show so they could expose themselves. Oh, and they had rap lyrics. They talked about kicking in doors and robbing people. Same thing, right? But they got these guys. And people ask, how did they get them? I'm like, I'm going to assume, I'm making an assumption here. The rental car wasn't in their name. Yes, they used flock cameras to track the car. Maybe they used local street cameras to see who was driving it. To see, maybe they put a stakeout on them. Maybe they used AI facial recognition from the hotel. I have no idea. But they got them fast. It took years to get these people. 25 of the 50. Yep. It said this really makes no sense at all. It said, thank you, Ramon. It says, pay attention, chat. It said they knew he wasn't going to be there because he had a game Sunday. Understand this. He could have a game Sunday, but he could have been out. They knew he wasn't going to be available, right? But what if somebody was at his house? That's why the other guys, right, Pat Mahomes and the rest of them, when they were at an away game, chances are the family goes to away games. So it made sense if the video, if that's what you say it is the reason that happened. They had 2 away games, but they waited until Shedeur played. And when you look at how Kevin Stefanski not just sabotaged Shedeur, but to be cruel, right? The whole wristband gate, the whole ugly Wildcats, right? Not making adjustments and letting people get Shedeur hit, the whole dirt divers. I mean, they did everything. So why wouldn't that be motive to run him off? The cruelty, the abuse, that's a motive. What Dylan's girlfriend said, everybody in the building wants Dylan to play, which means everybody in the building is against Shedeur. Why would that not be motive? It's motive. It's also motive in addition. And that's why when the robbery happened, people immediately said Stefanski and some said Judy. According to the getaway driver, he's pointing at Oregon football. It said someone turned them in. Maybe what they took from Shedeur home was less in cost in comparison to what they were paid. I don't know. I think they might have still had some of that stuff with them too. Because they say it takes months to get rid of all that stuff. It said mistakes got them cold busted. Yep, sure did. Every time they went to a house and they wasn't thinking, they was like, oh, it's no cars in the driveway. I'm like, and? I'm like, they're behind. Like that one right there. And it still took them a while to get caught from that. It took them a while to catch the guys that robbed Ridley, the housewives of Atlanta, Future's baby mama. It's just crazy, right? And all these people kept ending up in the hospital. Yeah, that's just crazy. I was like, Lord have mercy. I remember the first time I heard that because it came from a channel called Swamp Stories. So Swamp Stories, they do documentaries on all these gangs and stuff like that. And it's just some of the stuff that they do, you just be like, geez, right? And you even heard the narrator. He said, I have never seen anything like this. I'm like, me either. I didn't even know they planned it to that level of detail. Pick it and we're going to plan for 5 days. What are you planning? If you know what a house at, what else you got to figure out? I don't know. But that's what they do. So, hey, how you doing, Isaiah? It said everything coming out in the rents. Yup. The difference between a millionaire and a thousandaire is common sense. I don't know. It said a bunch of small timers. Yeah, it's not giving worldwide crime ring. It's not giving that at all. And you can see how they were moving in the house. Hey, Blind Beauty, how you doing? It said Jalen Hurts lost my sister. I heard. So Jalen Hurts got eliminated. Bryce Young got eliminated. Who else got eliminated? The Jaguars, right? They got eliminated, right? So yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. So who does that leave? It said NFL is pretty much trying to give the Super Bowl to Josh Allen and the Bills, rigged against Plantation. So you think the game was rigged? Jarrell, let me know. A football player. It said number 11 was dropping passes and arguing with the head coach. the commentators were trying to cover it up. I heard that. I did hear that. I was putting this show together, and I saw the coach, and then I heard the commentators, and I went to look up the score. I was like, oh, they lost. So I guess I must have saw the highlights. And it was involved in number 11 again. We were talking about number 11 yesterday because supposedly analysts are beginning to suggest that or tell us, advise that the Browns are expected to get Ayuk from San Francisco, a wide receiver one, to pair him up with Shedeur. So I want you to pay attention now. I want you to pay attention to what the narrative is coming out of Cleveland. The first thing I'm hearing, because people sent it to me, is that Tony Grossi is admitting that Shedeur was sabotaged. I'm like, I don't need you to admit that now. Hell, we knew that back in May. So, okay. Why are you admitting it now? Right? Why are you admitting that now? Because Stefanski's gone? Expect this case to be reopened. Again, a lot of people trying to tell. Somebody else gonna still try to tell. It's not gonna stop at the getaway driver. It's not gonna just be Dylan girlfriend. It's not gonna just be the cryptic tweet from Jerry Judy. Somebody else gonna drop something. People are trying to tell. It said Colorado getting some real dogs with proven play from all conferences. I saw that. We got people from Vanderbilt. We got Boo Carter. We got I know we got somebody from San Jose State. Notre Dame. Yeah, we got a lot of good people. Did we get another quarterback? Oh, no. I don't think we got a quarterback. We be getting a lot of defensive people, but we lost a lot of people. They said Isaiah Hodge was the last person from the 2023 class, and he hopped into the portal. Carter Stoudemire hopped into the portal. I'm like, damn, everybody that played for Coach Prime is gone. Like, for real. That's quite interesting. I don't know. And a lot of them didn't leave right away. Terrell Timmons committed to Memphis. I told y'all that who committed to Clemson? One of the freshmen that came in from IMG. Jordan Seaton probably the only one. The rest of them seemed like everybody else left. I'm like, geez, is anybody else left? Maybe after Jordan Seaton gone, Coach Prime gone. I don't know. It's just weird. But we do have a lot of new players. So I don't know what's happening. It said, could that chick that follows Shedeur be the one to give up the information, being she knows where he lived? And I wouldn't be surprised if the police are involved. I'm in Cleveland. So here's the thing. I don't know if she know where he lives. I'd be shocked if she don't, because his information is in HR. So I don't know if she know where he live, but I don't think you can ignore the fact that there was somebody on the payroll that was caught on camera. Surprisingly, I don't think they knew they was on camera. Trailing Shedeur in his street clothes, and you should see the look on his face and listen to how quick and quipped Shiloh responded, which meant they probably had been talking about that. Coach Prime was on the pregame show with Big Dog Chico, and he talked about Shedeur's first year. He talked about things weren't going well, right? Because he talked about all the phone calls he got, It was tough for Shedeur. They made it tough for Shedeur. And I think they made it tough because they wanted him to quit. The NFL is not a stranger to a scandal where the higher-ups encouraged a player to try to run off and did another player. Richie Incognito threatened and harassed Jonathan Martin, and the higher-ups encouraged it. It's documented. This type of what we saw in Cleveland, this type of intimidation. Look at Jerry Judy, how he kept sitting on the Shedeur like that, ready to him, showing him in practice, I'm not catching your passes, and did exactly the same thing in the game, but Tommy Reese didn't take him out. Stefanski didn't bench him. Everybody in the building needs to be investigated, because either you were a part of it or you knew about it and you didn't say anything. Unless the locker rooms are divided in half by offense and defense, then you have to investigate the entire staff. That includes the owner too, who allowed Stefanski to abuse Shedeur, to intimidate Shedeur, to harass Shedeur, to torture Shedeur, to bully Shedeur. So that case needs to be reopened. But they say it's federal now, since the guys were from Atlanta. So maybe that's why Ohio closed it. And the guys are supposed to be extradited back. The suspect's supposed to be extradited back to Ohio. And 8 agencies involved. I know somebody knows something on who hired them if the local police couldn't figure it out or they didn't want to figure it out. So hopefully the case gets reopened in some manner, because it's too much that happened in Berea to not consider the whole damn organization suspects. And it's too many people trying to tell for it to be ignored, including Dylan's girlfriend. She was actually trying to tell you, not to help you, but to brag. But she provided motive for everybody in the building was against Shedeur, according to her. If you want Dylan to play, you don't want Shedeur to play. So everybody in the building. Remember, someone said Shedeur was going to play the last 4 games of the season, right? So they moved it up. That's what I was saying. He played earlier than expected and only in the second half. But the Ravens did kind of seem to know. I will say that, I don't know, but they said the Ravens knew. It said, when I first saw the footage, I immediately thought it was white people by the way they were moving. A lot of people said that, and they were walking very slow with no sense of urgency. I don't think the robbery was the mission. What do you think it was if the robbery wasn't the mission? It said Kevin learned that type of behavior from his father. That's what people are thinking. I think, who is it? Allen Iverson that played basketball? There's a connection there. It said New England 16, the Chargers 3. They wanted Drake May to win. That was from the jump. That was always from the jump. Stefanski losing interest as potential head coach as the playoffs take place. Right. And every team is putting out a statement. We interviewed Stefanski. We completed our interview with Stefanski. I'm like, why are y'all telling us this? I find that very interesting. The Ravens, we completed our interview with Stefanski. Did you interview anybody else, or he's the only one? Because why we got to hear about it? Something's up. Is he threatening to sue? Because that's the kind of statements that you make when you got to prove that you did right by a person. Haslam. Oh, I'm optimistic he gonna get another head coaching job. Why? What kind of work did he do for you? Because it wasn't on the field. What did he do? He needs to be investigated. It said Hurst got eliminated. Oh, Jalen Hurts, yes. It said, I think those dudes in the mugshots got caught for something else, but they're putting it on them to close the case so the truth won't come out. That is very possible. People do not believe they are the same 3 people in the video. But it's funny, the driver got caught first. He wasn't in the video. Think about it. The driver got caught first 10 days later. It normally takes these guys months, years to get caught. He got caught first. The other guy, number 4, you can't find him. Nowhere to be found on the camera footage from the hotel. So that's 2 people. One you can't put your hands on, and one that wasn't in the video. That's 2. It was only 4. So who was the third one? Oh, the one you can't find. He's supposedly one of them. We don't even know how tall he is. We don't know nothing about him. People say they don't walk right. They're not wearing the right things. They don't move right. The body type is right, not right. That's what they're saying. And since the driver was in the car, we don't know, and I just do not believe it is a coincidence that those 4 guys behind Haslam were over there on that day where Bucky was allowed to film first. Because I used to say, that's crazy how Bucky can film other teams, but he can't film the Browns. That was just as crazy as Coach Prime being in a sweep from the Vegas Raiders, but not for the Browns. So it told you the Browns had something funny going on. And then when Bucky can film, it's a photo op. But then he can't come back when the Ravens, when Shedeur makes his debut. It's like they set everything up to hurt Shedeur. Oh, we ain't going to let your brother film this. We ain't going to tell you that you're going to play. They didn't tell Shedeur he was going to play in the preseason game until right before the game. Yep. No advance warning. Same thing. So they could catch him off guard. What did Baker Mayfield say about being in a backup role? You get comfortable, you get lax. So he wasn't staying ready. We know Shedeur stay ready. But he's giving you the mindset of, oh, I ain't never going to play, so don't worry about it. Taking it less seriously. So the 2 times he got the start, the Panthers, no advance preparation, no advance notice. Same thing with the Ravens, no advance preparation with the ones. No advance notice. See how the MO is the same when it comes to suppressing Shedeur? Why wouldn't they try to ruin his big moment? Because they knew he was going to play. How Dylan get a concussion? What did he do? Hit himself in the head with his helmet? You saw how easy the Ravens was going on Dylan, and Lamar was upset about that. He like, y'all supposed to be out here trying to win the game, and I'm over here being held back by my own offense and my defense helping the quarterback. So when the Ravens saying we were preparing for Shedeur all week, the Ravens knew. And guess what? Somebody else knew too. And somebody had to take the picture on the side of the house. So it proves that somebody local went and got the information to provide to the people. And it proves, if you watch the footage inside the house and how they were careful to call before they kicked in and how they moved all together, they weren't comfortable. They weren't being set up. Think about it. I'm not from here. I'm taking a risk by coming all the way up here. I don't know what y'all gonna do to us when we get up here. That's why when they open that door, somebody jump back. They thinking they gonna get set up because this not their territory. Why did they take the job? The cash payment was lucrative. That's why they took the job. So they took the risk for the cash. You don't get the cash that fast when you got to fit stuff. They know that. It wasn't the stuff they went and got. It was the cash in hand for coming up here and for taking care of this. Brown or Ayuk? Yeah, I don't know. Which one y'all want? Do y'all want Brown or Ayuk? AJ Brown or Ayuk? We talked about AJ Brown yesterday, and I said, didn't he kind of cause some problems up there? And here we go. No. Why it got to be either one of them? Why we just can't get Cornell Tate out the draft? Can we just please get some people? Get Jimmy. Will Shepherd. Why it got to be Ayuk? I mean, other quarterbacks get the pick. They're a receiver. They already got Isaiah Bond because he was a target for Arch Manning. So why Shedeur can't get the pick? Because they still don't value him. I feel like the Browns are posturing in more ways than one, because what did I say when we talked about Andrew Berry? They talking about, oh, Andrew Berry going to be taking up. I said, oh, Andrew Berry going to be cleaning up somebody's mess. What mess is he cleaning up? It ain't the season, because he ain't got nothing to do with that. You know what mess he's cleaning up? Haslam's mess. So he get to back off and go. And then Andrew Berry is the face. If you see Andrew Berry, you don't think that these people are racist. So the police came and told us on one day that they arrested the guy. And they came back on the second day and told us who it was. But by then, everybody was gone. And they announced they closed the case, which meant they're not looking into nothing else. They not looking. So even if social media goes on the detective hunt and come back with evidence, they're not interested. Seems very convenient. I told you the case was wrapped up too neatly. And considering they've been knowing since the 26th, Shedeur probably been knowing since the 26th about the person they caught. They probably asked him, do you know this person? Hopefully he looked at his social media and saw the connection. Holding birds accountable for doing this. Yep. It said, I agree. It said, always blame black people. Right. That's why I'm like, why would you go get 4 black people from Atlanta? They already blamed Atlanta in the draft. It's like they can't get off their own same situation. It's like, just keep doing the same thing to make you think it's personal. That's what they did before. It's the same thing. Why would it be the same people? They definitely paid to take the file. And that's why I think we know about Oregon. Because I think they probably for 11 hours discussed, bro, y'all sure about this? Like, y'all think they say, yeah, it's good. We just gonna get in and get out. And see, that was the appealing part. Just get in and get out. So it's like, okay, We're going to pay for your hotel. We're going to pay for your gas. We're going to get you a car. We're going to get you some food. They hung around too long for a robbery. Before and afterwards. What, you trying to blend with the community? That ain't going to happen. I'm like, there are people not black up there. I'm like, so, it's just, they was around too much. They was around too long, right? And they had meetups. Yeah. How you gonna get paid? And see, that's another thing too. They kept saying these guys have a boss. Okay. Maybe they're their own boss. Or did somebody tell them where to go? I don't know if they had a boss per se outside of themselves. When you listen to the Drug Rich, if you go watch the entire documentary, you see how it was 2 people, then it was 4 people, and as it got lucrative, it got 11 people. Well, I didn't share the end part. It went back down. They just started doing it individually. Yeah, they was like, I don't want to split the money no more. See, that's what criminals do. They turn on each other. See, everybody wanted to join in when the licks were good. And then there's too many people, and then people go, I'm going to go do my own. And that's what happened. This person was like, I'm going by myself. This person was like, I'm going by myself. There was no boss. They decided what they wanted to do as a group, and they did it. And they don't have to split it with nobody else. But who contacted them? How? Was it social media? It's funny, the other 3 guys don't pop up on social media at all. And that tells me it must be a name that we're not familiar with. But the one that does, the one that they caught first, points to Oregon football. How did the Medina police not see that? Now, I know they don't tell everything. They want people to get relaxed. The FBI too, they're relaxed. There's no way they didn't see that. I'm going to say it that way. There's no way they didn't see it. And you have to follow up with that. Even if you want to turn it over to the feds, somebody got to follow up with that. Everybody in the building except 20 million followers and counting, right? It said Dylan, Oregon, Kevin, Oregon, Dan Landon, Oregon, Dan Orlowski, Oregon, Dante Moore, Oregon, a lot of ducks. It said look like a duck and act like a duck. It quacks like a duck. It's a duck. That's facts. It said Dylan is hot trash. It said he won't be in the NFL for long. Perfect timing. Almighty Yah exposed and eliminated him and made him a footstool. Yep. It said I bet they took the deal because being charged for the robbery would hold a lot less time for whatever they were really caught for. Now, I don't know. The rich gang, Drug Rich, they got life. Yeah. See, understand this. If they pin other stuff on them, whether they did it or not, that's a RICO. Drug Rich got caught with a RICO 220 counts. They serving life and they didn't get bail, and these guys not out. And now they talking about they did this. We didn't see no evidence of it. Now they talking about they have possibly done this. I'm like, oh, they're going to bury them. That's why crime don't pay. They were being used like everybody else. Like everybody else that they use, what happens? They lose. Jerry Judy probably going to be the one to lose. Why? Because somebody convinced him to act like a fool publicly and be the only one to display animosity towards Shedeur. What'd you see Kevin Stefanski doing? What'd you see Jimmy doing to Coach Prime? Touching all on him. Not Jerry Judy. He an idiot. You really did that on camera for everybody to see. That you have animosity towards Shedeur, that you just keep sitting under him, but you keep failing him on camera, and then you go out in the game and you fail and you don't get benched. That means you working with the coaches. Ain't no way that case ain't gonna be reopened. It's too much. It's too much. It said, I wonder if the robbers have family members they talked to. It said, I'm sure they told a close friend or family about what happened sooner or later. Already have. It said, GF someone need to interview them. Who? GIs? What's that? What's that? They said NFL trying to give that Super Bowl to Josh Allen and the Bills. Yeah, I agree with that. It said Dylan Gabriel football career is over. Stefanski exposed this game. Yeah, if it ain't, he let Stefanski play him. I think he got played. That's what I think. I think he got played. All right. Notice Haslam is trying to what did he say? He's optimistic about Stefanski getting another job. Let's see what they say about Dylan. Let's see what happens with Dylan next. Remember, Oregon football points to Dylan. Let's see what happens. And the Dylan girlfriend, what did she told us? See, has she not ever said anything? But see, now that she said that, that's motive. Let's see how they act with Dylan next. Tony Grossi says Stefanski did sabotage Shedeur. Okay, now you want to tell us what we already know. Yeah, whatever. Shut up. And let's see what happens with Dylan. And let's see if anything happens to anybody else. If Jerry Jeudy get moved to another team, or somebody we think involved get moved to another team. If Dylan and his girl break up, let's see what happens. Just see what happens. Dylan Sweat Bricks. I know that girl is, because she shouldn't have said none of that. It said it will be a whitewash Super Bowl. That's what they want. It said Chicago and Houston won't go far. Nope. A copycat. Yep, I think it's a copycat. And later for Grossi. Right. Like, we don't want to hear shit you got to say now. We already knew that. The whole time we were saying that. Right? Tony Grossi and his crew are full of it. Right. I totally agree. I was like, bro, we've been said that. I don't want it. No, don't send me nothing about nobody saying Shedeur is being sabotaged. We said that in May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and yesterday. I'm like, I don't want to hear nothing. I'm like, we already know. And I got probably 100 videos about it. Like, miss me with that. Because we've been saying that. Good Old Boy Network, right. And they're going to cover for each other. It said, I can't speak for Judas, but his teammates like playing with him. Yeah, we'll see. Ain't it funny how you feel shows on your face? Right. It said the owners involved in the collusion will ensure Stefanski get a coaching job. See, now that's it right there. You see that part right there? Stefanski getting another job as a head coach. Unless they just lying and they trying to push him out too, because he did the dirty work for him. And you got everybody coming out saying, we completed our interview with Stefanski. I'm like, we ain't asked y'all none of that. Why y'all doing it like that? Ever since Harbaugh hit the market, ain't nobody talking about Stefanski. So it's almost like Harbaugh had to hit the market so they could find a way not to hire Stefanski. And you got Haslam over there talking about, yeah, I'm optimistic that Stefanski gonna get a job. The people on Pac-Man Jones show said, so why the hell did you fire him then? Agreed. It's not lost on me. He got fired exactly 7 days after the third guy got caught. And somebody was waiting in the bushes to film it. That meant people knew it was going to happen. And I have a feeling I think somebody knew. I could kind of tell how they knew. I ain't gonna say it. But I think people knew. I told you how they fired Harbaugh, right? He left to go home for the day and they called him on the phone. He was in the car. Somebody waiting in the bushes for Stefanski to film him from across the street with a zoom lens. They knew he was coming out. They knew it. That's why I'm like, they knew it. It's that Dylan saying it was Craig. Yeah. It said, don't forget Tony Brown was retaliated against. And remember, Tony Brown was retaliated against and they invited him to a game. When I saw him on the side, I was like, and he had on a Browns sweatshirt, didn't he? I was like, who invited him? And here we go. Was that the last game or the second to the last game? I think it was the second to the last game, wasn't it? Now, see, you got to think about it. The first guy got caught November 26th. Now, you got to go back to the robbery. Shedeur plays at the end. He sit with his hand. I don't even know if he knew about the robbery yet. That was the Browns. That was the Ravens, right? The next game was that Vegas. Shedeur wins that game. Coach Prime is in Vegas suite. And I said, that's the first owner to be nice to Coach Prime after the robbery. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was the first coach. And then Haslam want to be nice. Mm-hmm. But they went right back to abusing Shedeur. So that was all posturing. That's what it tells you. The way Lamar Jackson curved Harbaugh, y'all need to see that. If y'all haven't seen that, y'all need to see that. And when Lamar said be legendary, I was like, whoa. I mean, it sent chills through me because I never heard him talk like that before. I never heard him talk like that before. And the players on his team want him to be more vocal, right? Just like Myles Garrett wants Shedeur to take ownership of the leadership of the team. But remember, when Shedeur came to the podium looking shook, he said, no, I only got to worry about myself. Something happened because Jerry Jeudy put that cryptic tweet out there. Something happened. Maybe we'll find out one day. Shedeur makes music, and he'll likely release his music in a way that you got to read between the lines. And maybe he'll tell a story, and he should. So let's see how they treat Shedeur. Let's see what happens with Dylan next. And let's see if Stefanski gets a job. And let's see if Haslam funding remains blocked. Did y'all hear that somebody came and said Harbaugh should be the next head coach of the New York Giants, and that was not a suggestion? I don't want to say who, but y'all know who. You know what that was to do, right? Block Stefanski. The Giants weren't even looking at anybody else but Stefanski and Harbaugh. And when, Washington comes out and says, Harbaugh, it should be the next head coach. That's not a suggestion, right? So are they already blocking Stefanski? Now, I told y'all the last couple of days before Stefanski was leaving, he was in his press conference. He kept talking about a script. He kept saying, yeah, that's a script. I'm like, is he trying to tell? See, people trying to tell. See, now it's time for this. It's time. See, Ohio said the case is closed, but the feds ain't said nothing. And since they drove across state lines, stay tuned. That case ain't closed. Plus, they got to come back to Ohio. So let's see what happens before the extradition happens. Let's see what happens to the robbers, to the one that's missing, to the ones that's locked up. It's gonna tell the story. Because Shedeur is the only robber we know about, and the rest of these guys got robbed too, but not by these four. It said, I meant to say the owners involved in a collusion will probably offer Stefanski a job. I agree. I agree. I totally agree. It said Jordan Love got eliminated. Yep. So was it Jordan Love? Oh, I'm gonna have a separate probably about that. I watched that game. Jordan Love. People thought their head coach was gonna get fired. They already ready to give him an extension. I say that's how you know they didn't even want to win that game. They didn't. And Chicago, they not gonna. They might, but if so, it's gonna be for Ben Johnson and not Caleb. But what that game with Caleb proved why he was going to be a 2-time Heisman winner. That was Caleb Williams' vindication game. Just like the Steelers was Lamar's vindication game, that game between the Packers and the Bears, that was Caleb's vindication game. And what it told me about Green Bay is they didn't want to win. They didn't want to win. You know who else didn't want to win? The Panthers. I watched the O lineman on the left not block for Bryce Young. So either he is tired and needs to be fired and cut because he out of shape, or he intentionally let his man go. And because we saw so much of that with Shedeur at critical times, you know what it looks like now. The Panthers didn't want to win. The Packers didn't want to win. That's 2 black quarterbacks, right? You know what I said today? If the Eagles lose, how did they lose? They didn't want the Eagles to go back to the Super Bowl. They caused all kind of friction in that organization to tear it down. Yeah, sure did. So there you go. I'm still not convinced the same ones they got in custody are the same ones who broke into Shedeur house. You might be right. All I know is the driver is the one that I can find on social media, nobody else. And I don't know if they got nobody, because the other two didn't even come up because their name supposedly wasn't spelled right. So that's why I say it's a lot of confusion happening here. It's the driver is the one, like, you know, the other two, their names weren't even spelled right. Xavier was spelled with the E, and DeAndre had a Z on the end, so you couldn't find them. But I think I ended up finding I had to change the spelling or something, and I found like stuff on them, but not where they went to high school, not where they from, that kind of stuff. Now the one that they can't find, that's the one with the rap sheet. He was locked up for 12 years. People say they think he on papers, whatever that means. Whatever that means. I think it means maybe you get out and help them out, and then you go back in for less time or something like that. Maybe. I watch Power, so possibly. Possibly. But people think it's some fishy happening. So that's why I say I think there's a cover-up happening here. So we'll see. So we got some things to watch out for. It said, yes, they did get a QB. Oh, Colorado got a QB. Where from? It said, I saw ACP interview with the Morning Run. Oh, Coach Prime interview with the Morning Run. He's very happy with who they're getting. Good. It said the Eagles played like they did not want to win. The game was boring. Yeah, they had all kind of internal issues intentionally plaguing them, and it just seemed like number 11 was at the center of everything. Let's see what happens to him next. It says Steedham will probably go to the league next football season. Played himself, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny how people seem like they're trying to tell. I wonder who want to tell next. Maybe Stefanski when he'll get a job. It said here in Washington on the news, they showed Kelsey, Burrow, and Mahomes right away. They only showed Shedeur when they caught the guys. Oh, okay. All right. And the guys that robbed them are in jail. So I knew it wasn't the same people. Yeah, it wasn't the same people. It said federal involved. Damn, if convicted, the perpetrators will have to do 80% of their sentence. If they convicted in Georgia, they gonna get life. One thing about Georgia and these criminal rings, they ain't playing. They don't take no pleas. I was listening to the DA in Georgia talk about the rich gang. Oh, is that what drug rich? And she said, we're not taking no pleas. She sure did. And I don't know if they're gonna cover this in the news or not. I don't know. I mean, hell, the way they keep telling us about it, you would think that they planning to do like they did the Rico with with what was his name, Young Thug in Ghana. You think it's like that? We gonna see every day the trial. Maybe we could. I mean, I think we should. It's a lot. The public need to know, because we watched Shedeur be abused for a long time, and it's something going on here. And I think the lack of transparency is suspicious. Just like the case being closed on the Ohio side, saying it's nobody else to look at. Either they not saying they interviewed the Browns, but if they did not, they got a lot of people to look at, and they let them all get away for the off season. So we just don't see. Could Oregon be part of what's going on with 12? Nah. Oregon setting up Dante Moore. They busy. It said keep doing the same old, you will get the same old. Facts. Honor amongst thieves. Yeah, ain't no honor amongst thieves. It said could Oregon lost to Mendoza be a part of 12 once Dan Lanning found out the guy got arrested? Nah. No. If anything, Dante Moore lost so Mendoza could go first. That's where that comes, and that's a whole separate situation right there. The problem I have with the whole not Mendoza, but Dante Moore situation is that Oregon had already invited the quarterback Dylan Raiola, who's from Georgia, by the way, from Nebraska, to come visit. And I think people started talking about that and was like, what? Wait, that's rude, because Dante Moore has not made up his mind. And I said this to y'all. Don't be surprised if Oregon try to force Dante to come out next year, because people are starting to see that NCAA is trying to create a path for the Manning kid to go number one with all of that talent. Now, you already know that's the Browns' problem, right? That's what they want to do. That's why they keep kicking on Shedeur, right? So just pay attention to what's transpires with everybody that we could possibly, everybody in the building. Just see what transpires with everybody in the building. And if the police did not investigate Maria, and I mean everybody in the building, that's a huge mistake because they had motive and people keep trying to tell. So they don't need to reopen that case. They don't need to reopen that case, but they let everybody get away. But luckily, they know where they live at. They know where Shedeur live at. It said, great show. Good night, all. All right. So, yeah, we're going to get ourselves out of here. Good night, good night. It said Lamar definitely gave Shedeur a shout out with that. I felt like he did. It kind of sent chills. It said, do you have video footage of Lamar ignoring his coach? No. It was the game. It was some kind of game footage. So if it's game footage, I don't typically get it because it's copyrighted. So no, I'm sure, but it's if I see it on X, I'll grab it because I think that's where I saw it. And I'll just share the link and people just have to look at it over there. It's Lamar. Oh, it's another clip too of Myles Garrett rolling his eyes at Stefanski. Stefanski was like, do I lie to y'all? And Myles Garrett, somebody zoomed in on his face and was rolling his eyes hard, bro. That was so funny. So I'm gonna see if I can find those two clips, Myles Garrett and Lamar Kirby. That's how you know Lamar was not playing. He was not playing. And when he said be legendary, I was like, oh shit, I think he shot now Shedeur. That's good. Because he know he being set up too. But it's good that these guys now are on the same page, you know, for the most part, that they being set up, right? So let's just see what transpires next with everybody in the building. See what happens with the suspects. The one that's missing, people say he's gonna be taking a dirt nap. They might be right. And we'll just see, right? So I hope y'all enjoyed tonight's show. I've been working on this most of the day to try to get the clips. I had to keep watching the documentary because one is good, and two, I was just looking for things that could add some, I guess you could say, like inform you guys on what goes on, and also keep yourself safe too, right? A lot of people like to say, "Oh, you know, we can sleep with our doors open." No, don't do that. Don't do that. Matter of fact, if you lock the door, put something behind it. That's what I would say. All right, so I'm gonna get myself out of here. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. I'll catch y'all next time, which is probably tomorrow at 10:35, if not before then. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Have a good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show.